Logic does not need to be your hero. Okay, he's not your savior. He's not your god. Stop going in with your problems. It's Shawn C, and I'm here today to discuss this guy, a guy who I haven't talked about in a while, and I've been listening to his music lately, trying to re-listen to everybody, not re-listening. I need remedial classes. I'm a deduction as a human. Like, when you're not worth anything, just call yourself a deduction, because you're not adding anything to the human race. Logic has been on my mind recently after listening to his Everybody album again, and I feel like I needed to discuss this because in the comments section, on forums, in some blogs, in some reviews that I've been reading for Everybody, even my own, I think we had a very unrealistic approach in listening to Logic's music. And my approach was, if you're going to discuss something, do it right, don't do it without fail. Do it without fail. And discuss it to the fullest extent. You know, have all your information, keep all your eggs in a basket, have all your rows in a duck in a... Just know what you're talking about so that you don't confuse other people. So when I was listening to Logic's music, one of the things that came to me was people have an unrealistic expectation of him. People want Logic to rap about things that they've been through, and you have to understand that Logic has been through the same things or similar, but maybe not in the same way. One of the biggest things that I find so endearing about people like MF Doom or about Wu-Tang Clan is the fact that they use references as opposed to trying to be an idea, as opposed to trying to represent something. For me, what I like more about MF Doom in my recent discovery of a lot of his music is that he's taken his supervillain theme to like the highest level. You know, he's constantly maintained something that he's liked and gone with it throughout his entire career. That's one of the things I like most about MF Doom. The fact that he has an idea, something that he likes, that he's passionate about, and has decided to incorporate that into his rapping. Logic, on the other hand, and a handful of other artists that I might mention, like the trap rappers. We have a lot of artists that try to be trap influenced, a lot of artists that try to be gangster. And for me, the only difficult aspect of that is you have to maintain that energy. You have to maintain that thought process. You have to represent that idea and that lifestyle constantly. When you don't have an idea, you don't have any reference points, you're not talking about things that you live or things that you actually genuinely like, then you're liable to live a life and to I guess continue a rap career that could be perceived as like a double life, and it's very stressful to have to do that. Logic, with his Everybody album, in my opinion, is a guy who took on the responsibility of something that he didn't need to. I like the idea of rapping about everyone, but when you take that road, you're now putting the responsibility of everything that encompasses everybody on you. You have to discuss that in your music now. You have to do all of it justice, whether it be black, white, gay, straight, male, female. You have to talk about all of these things. You're putting that responsibility on yourself. And if you don't continue with it, people are going to look at you and be disappointed.
And this is kind of where his 1-800 song comes into play, because I'm extremely happy for Logic in the fact that he was able to make a come up, the fact that he was able to have a hit song that everyone loves, because I feel like the album went under the radar for the most part. Like, a lot of people in publications were talking about it as if it was just this massive failure, when there is a hit song on here that's kind of nationwide now, helping people get through their issues, helping people solve their problems in regards to dealing with depression. And while I'm extremely happy with Logic for that, and I love the fact that he was able to take that, turn it into a statement, popularize it, and help people, I can't help thinking that this is going to be a detriment to him, because this is now his most popular song. This is the one that people are going to know him for. Most people will look at this and say, well, what's the problem? He's got a hit song. This is kind of what all rappers want. But a lot of rappers aren't known just for one topic specifically. You know, Post Malone is known for very surface level lyrics that really don't mean anything, but they always sound really good. So there's never going to be any responsibility placed on him to rap about a certain thing, because he never really has. Logic, on the other hand, has turned himself into the biracial spokesman, turned himself into the suicide prevention hotline with his most recent project. And me being a fan of Logic since I was 14 years old, I don't want to see his career taken from him because now he feels that he's being pressured to talk about things that affect everyone else as opposed to things that directly affect him. Because that's what I feel like we got on Everybody, just an album that was begging for the people's approval, instead of Logic just saying, this is where I'm at now.
Look at how people are disappointed with 21 Savage and his relationship with Amber Rose. He is talking and rapping a lifestyle that his fans want him to live. They want him to be this guy. I think the pressure of having to rap about everybody is what's leading to Logic's downfall. It's what's leading to the disappointment that a lot of fans and myself have found in his most recent project, because he's taking the responsibility and putting it all on himself and trying to talk about it in a 14, 15 track album. It ain't gonna happen, bruh, okay? It ain't gonna happen. Actually, let me get like Logic real quick. I just don't want Logic to pigeonhole himself because his fans have an expectation of him. They want him to be the hero. They want him to be this guy that's taking on the responsibility. Alright, this is not an episode of My Hero Academia. Logic is not Superman or Clark Kent. That's to some degree what I feel rappers' biggest downfall is having to rap about ideas, having to represent thoughts, having to represent entire think pieces. One of the things, like I said, that makes an artist like MF Doom so enjoyable is knowing that he's rapping about something he likes. He's not trying to do anything more than that. He's taken the theme of being a villain, because I'm assuming he obviously likes some of the themes of superhero comic book characters, that he's decided to rap about it for albums and albums and albums at a time. This adds a thematic, very original aspect to Doom's music. It gives us his interpretation of something that we may have already been experienced with, but it gives us a different idea of it. Logic recently hasn't been able to do that. I feel he's been too conscious of what his fans want. He's been too conscious and aware of the fact that he is connecting with people and stopped understanding that rap is something that's cool and it's something that you can use to connect people, but you still have to speak from your experience, speak from your life, speak from things that you enjoy. I feel when Logic was doing that, that's when he was at his best with his mixtape days and even his debut album Under Pressure. When he started trying to be a spokesperson for biracial awareness, when he started trying to be a spokesperson for smoking, when he started to be a spokesperson for all these things that I appreciate him for caring so much about, it's not something I want him to keep doing. I want him to keep his identity in rap. I don't want the fans of him to sap away what he should be talking about. That's why Kendrick Lamar came out with Damn, because he kind of represented that idea almost. He used his To Pimp a Butterfly album to rap about everyone to an extent, and he ended up feeling a little bit down. You know, he felt a little bit fearful of being able to continue that path. There was depression. He didn't really know who he was. So we got an album, for the most part, about Kendrick. We got an album, for the most part, about some of what Kendrick likes. Eminem, from what I've been able to see from his most recent single that came out with Beyonce, seems to be the same way. Now, I have high hopes, and I'm praying that Revival is going to be a good album at the least, but from his words, he seems aware of the fact that fans want a certain thing from him. Critics, casual listeners, and I don't want him to lose sight of what made him him. Logic doesn't need to be the knight in shining armor. Logic doesn't need to be the idea. You know, Macklemore did the same thing and absolutely destroyed his career in doing so, or his reputation, whatever we held him to, whatever standard he was at, whatever bar he had set for himself. He's now well below that because he's taking these thoughts and trying to be the spokesperson for it, and that's not what you're there to do. One of the most original things he did was rap about a thrift shop. One of the most original things he could have done. When you take something that you enjoy and you make a career out of it, or you take a theme, something that isn't trying to be the spokesperson for a group of people, so that you end up becoming that group's Jesus. I feel like you're able to have themes. I feel like you're able to have trilogies and parts. I feel like you're able to have happiness. Those are really big shoes to fill. You're trying to fill the shoes for 1 million people and you're one guy. And I feel that's the disappointment in Logic's music recently, is people are expecting him to be this person to talk about these things, because he's turned himself into the spokesperson for it. Now everything that he talks about in regards to his music comes off as forced. It comes off as cringy. It comes off as doing too much and just overall going too far to reach an audience. One of the things that makes rap is the fact that you're just rapping, not trying to appeal to a certain demographic. You're just rapping. That's another reason I like artists like Jizz, is because so far with the music he's been releasing, he's been staying true to himself. It's why SZA's become so much more popular, because she started making music that is a representation of her. Other people just happen to identify with it, which is great. But SZA wasn't in the studio making a conscious effort to say, I'm gonna make an album that other people can relate to, because that's not her job. So to put it simply, when you're talking about things that don't necessarily come from you, And even if they do, and you're trying your heart out to reach an audience with the music that you're making, that's fine, okay? There's nothing wrong with that. But in my opinion, just me, feel free to disagree, but in my opinion, when you do this kind of music, you're putting a ton of responsibility on yourself to do these subjects and these topics extreme justice, alright? And you're now having the expectations of your fan base, whatever fan base you've cultivated, they now have an expectation of you to follow through with an album that caters to them. I just knew before the album even came out, making a project about everybody was gonna be a horrible idea. You might not like Drake at the end of the day, but for the most part, even though he does talk about things that are kind of corny too, he's rapping about himself. He's rapping about things that he's lived. He doesn't care if people can relate to it. He's just rapping about it. And some people are interested in that. It's fine to do that. Music is supposed to be an art form that other people should be able to gravitate toward, even if it doesn't relate to them. And I feel like the gimmick in an album like Everybody is its relatability. Calling a project Everybody, meaning everybody can come into this thing and enjoy something. Which isn't true for one, but it's just a really easy way to sell your album. It's a really easy selling point for a project, as opposed to just saying, I'm gonna make an album that's just me, a bunch of my thoughts put onto a project, not a rant, not an opinion, not me trying to appeal to other demographics, just me. I'm gonna make a project just about me. And if people like that, great. If they don't listen. But I feel like that's where Logic's downfall is. And I feel like I should have explained to his fan base that he's not your hero. He's not somebody that you should be making into your idol. It's bad for him and it's bad for you. You're gonna always be disappointed to some extent, and Logic is always gonna be looked at as the fall guy for it, when it's unrealistic to expect him to be able to rationally cover these topics. There are people, like I said, that can conceptualize. I like Joey Badass's new record that came out back in April, but it's nothing that you should expect. Do not expect Logic to be that guy. Let him rap about what he likes to rap about. But I've only made this video because I keep seeing criticisms about his project, and those criticisms still stay true even months after I've listened to his project. But still, he's not supposed to be that guy. Lay off. Logic, stop putting all that responsibility on yourself, because those are shoes that no one can fill. It's Shawn C. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you all for watching, and peace to the Middle East. I'm taking these off now because they're hurting my eyes.